This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, May 1st, only on Netflix.
My next guest is a man who is a 14-year veteran, highly decorated veteran of the New York City Police Department with an unblemished record of service to the people in New York, many times in some of the most dangerous graveyard shifts in some of the most far-flung and dangerous parts of the city. He has won over 50 medals and commendations during his time with NYPD, but was terminated by the NYPD because, well, he's a friend of mine. You see, they said that violated a regulation of the New York City Police Department that says that New York City police officers cannot associate with those who may have or may in the future be involved in criminal activity. The problem is that there's more than one standard. And Sal Greco was terminated, has a lawsuit pending with the New York City Police Department, which the city has sought twice to have dismissed, but the judge has refused to do that. But we're really here to talk about a larger issue, and that is what's going on at the New York City Police Department, meaning other officers don't seem to be being held to any of these standards in which Sal Greco lost his pension and, more importantly, his good standing, because without a good standing letter, he can't work as a law enforcement officer in any other jurisdiction. Sal Greco, thank you for joining us today on The Roger Stone Show.
It's an honor to be here, Roger.
Sal, you have your own show, The Sal Greco Show, which you can tune into on many major platforms, where you talk about law enforcement and politics. But you have particularly pointed out that the current New York City Police Commissioner, Ed Caban, often parties at a Boit, at a nightclub recently closed down called Con Sofrito, but that there are actors at Con Sofrito who actually have a criminal record and therefore under that regulation could reasonably believe to have in the past or in the future engaged in criminal activity, but they don't seem to be being terminated by the NYPD.
That's right, Roger. And very recently, Con Sofrito in the Bronx had to shut down, and they were evicted this week. They were in court. The judge deemed that they violated their court order numerous times. The last one being a party that happened, Puerto Rican Day Parade, the day of. They had an after party there. It was actually broadcasted all over the internet that they were having a party. So they had told the judge in a previous hearing just days before that they were going to tear down their illegal shed, which was operating illegally for the last 4 years. They violated numerous court orders, one being from the Department of Buildings and Fire Department, and they just continued. The party went on. I mean, Eric Adams had his birthday party there. Tish James is always there. Carl Hasty's always there. Darcel Clark's always there. The Lieutenant Governor of New York, Anthony Delgado, he's always there. And they seem to hang around this character named Jimmy Rodriguez. He was the manager of the place, and we'll get to him. Well, he's a mob associate and a self-admitted criminal who used to own a place called Jimmy's Bronx Cafe, and that place was infamous. You can look online for the history of that place. So, and the owner of the place is actually Ed Caban's brother. So Ed Caban's brother, Richard Caban's the owner, and he himself was a former NYPD lieutenant. I know it's hard to grasp your head around this, but he owned this place, and numerous convicted criminals and felons hang out there. Fat Joe, who's a surrogate for Kamala Harris, actually on her campaign. This party happened to be his party for some kind of alcoholic beverage or something. So the New York City Police Department happened to be there. Roger, they were outside. They were videotaped there, and they shouldn't be there at all because they were violating that rule, right, Roger? Then we also had the sheriff of the New York City, Anthony Miranda, one of the most corrupt individuals that hang around Eric Adams. He was there. He's the guy that should be enforcing these rules. They were having an open air liquor party in the parking lot. So this all came. The chickens came on the roost, Roger, and the judge ruled that they have to be evicted. And then there's going to be other questions, Roger. Eddie Caban was pictured there, I mean, for the last 4 years. And so were the two previous police commissioners, Keyshawn Sewell and Dermot Shea. They seem to be very chummy with Jimmy Rodriguez, who also is a friend of Bill and Hillary Clinton. He's a big-time Democrat operative, and he managing this place. So there's a lot of questions here, Roger, but seems like the party's over up there in the Bronx, and now we're going to be left with the aftermath of that. Of course, Eddie Caban has his own issues going forward. This trip, he was taking trips to Qatar. I don't know if you saw that article by the Daily News. But
it appeared to me that he took multiple trips paid for by Qatar. Whether those have been properly reported, I'm not sure what the regulations are, but I don't really see. These look like junkets to me. Look, there's a long history here. I mean, again, you were terminated under this regulation just because you're my friend and because I had been charged with the crime, but later had not only just commutation of my sentence, but a full and unconditional presidential pardon. Just weeks ago, a New York City police officer attacked Donald Trump on a social media platform, and Mayor Adams refuses to discipline that officer. On top of that, who could forget when Cardi B, a rapper, a gangbanger with a criminal history, she actually was invited to speak at the New York City Police Academy. Every single one in the leadership, the brass of the NYPD, who came in contact with him is technically in violation of the exact same regulation under which you lost your pension, you lost your job, you lost your livelihood, and you essentially were harassed for almost a year and a half. Not only were they tailing you, I'm not sure what that was about, I'm not sure what for what purpose, but you couldn't even attend, as I recall, your own father's funeral, nor could you pay for it. This is despicable, but it shows once again the two-tiered justice system. And I'm curious. Look, there's been a lot of press about investigations into Mayor Eric Adams regarding campaign finance matters, potentially money from Turkish nationals, which would be illegal. Let me stress that Mayor Adams has not been charged with any crime. We'll be very clear about that. There's certainly indications swirling that there's multiple investigations, but he has not yet been charged with any crime, in all fairness. However, it is, unless your name is Donald Trump, it is the practice of the Justice Department not to charge any politician in the run-up of an election, so as not to interfere with the election. And there is speculation that the mayor could face criminal charges. That's why I noted with interest his very, very quick endorsement of Kamala Harris when Barack Obama and Michelle Obama themselves were holding back. What did you make of that?
Well, Roger, from my own sources, when he endorsed Kamala Harris, the deal is that there will be no prosecution of Eric until maybe after Election Day, if at all, and that he angled for his pardon. And how do we know this, too? Well, just last week, you saw Reverend Al Sharpton, another convicted criminal that Eric Adams used to be his former bodyguard, his security while he was a cop. I don't know how he got away with that one, but his buddy Al Sharpton was on a plane with President Biden for the first time since he became president. I wonder what they were discussing. Maybe how he would get a pardon for Eric Adams, because Eric's angling for pardon. You know, Eric here, Roger, Eric has 4 separate federal investigations on him. He has a sexual harassment lawsuit on him. His aides, like Timothy Pearson, a thug who was a former cop, that somehow he has 4 sexual harassment lawsuits on him. And in one of them, it states how he who is working as a aide to Eric Adams is in charge of promotions of the New York City Police Department. That is unprecedented. You know, Eric runs this administration like a racket. That's what it looks like.
All right, Sal, we're going to have to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with this proud son of Staten Island, Salvatore Greco. Don't go away.
You have the opinion. We have the radio station. This is Talk Radio 77 WABC.
I'm Anthony T. DiPietro, and I'm a New York patient safety attorney. Urologist Darius Paduch has just been criminally convicted of exploiting male patients. Federal agents found patient photographs on computers in Paduch's home. If you were a patient of Paduch, call 212-233-3600 or visit atdlaw.com.
Hi, I'm John Catsimatidis.
It's Judge Janine Pirro.
James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Hi, it's Curtis Sliwa.
Hello, this is Larry Kudlow.
Hi, this is Dick Morris.
Hi, it's Anthony Weiner.
It's Cindy Adams.
I'm Roger Stone, and this is the Roger Stone Show on WABC Radio.
Talk Radio 77, WABC.
And me, Sid Rosenberg.
Sid, you're on Monday at 6.
Okay.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength, Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
It's the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone. We are going to be taking your calls a little later in the show, so let me give you advance notice. That number, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. We probably won't take your calls until 5:30 Eastern, but if you're interested, start thinking about your questions. Write down that number, 800-848-9222. We're here with Salvatore Greco, who is a former New York City police officer and has become a well-informed critic of the current administration. I think in our last segment you said that the Reverend Al Sharpton was on a plane, I believe it was with Vice President Kamala Harris, but you said Biden. I think you misspoke. But of course, what they discussed would only be speculation, but politics operates, as we know, on rumor and sources. Sal, let me ask you this. You have also pointed out that the crime statistics that in which the mayor and NYPD continue insisting to us that crime across the board is going down. You and many other professionals in law enforcement question that. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, Roger, it's easy to manipulate numbers. That's for starters. Number two, if you look on my X every week around Monday or Tuesday, I believe they release their numbers. And we have a gentleman, his name is Sam Antar. Crazy Eddie. I don't know if everyone remembers Crazy Eddie. He's very famous in the New York tri-state area. Of course, he was arrested for skimming numbers, basically. He had a well-oiled machine going on. They caught him, and then, he's an expert. He became an expert for the government. So every week, he goes by the numbers and actually proves that major felonies in the city of New York is up 33%. Now, Eric Adams comes out with his propaganda charts, and crime. I remember what's his infamous line? He says that crime is down, jobs are up. It's the safest big city in America, and this is a show or something. He's the best showman. I mean, this guy is just living in a fantasy world. And the truth is that major felonies are up. I mean, they just had a shooting down the block from Gracie Mansion. You have bodies just popping up all over New York City, and that the police are really handcuffed. Unless you're, kissing the ring of Eddie Caban or Eric Adams, or what that means, then you're going to be put in a position where you're out there with your personnel being low. The numbers of the personnel, by the way, is about really 28,000 cops that are actively in the street. 28,000. That's the real number, Roger. So going off that number, why do they have these cops, like 80 of them, in one unit called DCPI? Where that's a unit where you need about 4 cops and 1 sergeant. See, Eric campaigned also that he was going to eliminate these bureaucratic units and these administrative roles. Instead, they're all over the place. They have another scam unit. I mean, this guy, Kaz Dordry, who I don't know why Sid Rosenberg, I love him, but he's so chummy with the guy. He never goes to ask him any hard questions. So Kaz Dordry, who's the deputy commissioner of operations, all right, he claimed on his show that he has a social media unit. Now, Roger, that would mean that they have active duty cops working on social media to kiss up to this guy, Kaz Dordry, to inform of any criticism online about him, which is not the role of the police department. He shouldn't even care about that. Meanwhile, Roger, crime is through the roof, shootings down the street from Gracie Mansion. We had 2 sergeants that got shot. And by the way, when 2 cops got shot, Roger, there was a press conference at the hospital, and it was Kaz Dordry, who I learned threatened the reporter Rocco Parascandolo from New York Daily News. By the way, this is breaking news. So he threatened him in front of Eric Adams, Tiny Kinsella, First Deputy Commissioner, Eddie Caban, Police Commissioner, and Chief of Department, Jeffrey Madry, his mentor. In front of them, he was threatening him and had to be physically restrained because Rocco Parascandolo wrote an article being critical of the use of an unmarked vehicle which Kaz Dordry was driving around the city with. It's either him or Eddie Caban. And by the way, Kaz Dordry is a civilian. He's not a police officer. He cannot just turn the lights on. That's illegal. So he told him, keep your name out of your keep my name out of your mouth, and I'll drive around the city and do whatever I want. And he was physically restrained, Roger, by the cops. There's been no action. And of course, Roger, the media, what can I say? They don't want to write about Consofrito. I don't know if they're afraid. They think Jimmy Rodriguez might do something because he's a mob associate. I don't know if they think that Eddie Caban, he dresses like a mob boss. They might think that Eric Adams himself, they seem to act like a bunch of thugs, but they don't want to write about things like this that are important to the taxpayers, Roger. The New York City taxpayer, they are paying for this stuff. They're responsible for this stuff, and it's not right, Roger. This is the single most corrupt administration, I believe, in the history of New York City. And, Roger, you could attest to this. I mean, you worked for many politicians on many campaigns in New York City and New York State. Have you ever seen anything like this with this kind of behavior and all these campaign finance problems and all these, crimes that you're hearing are coming out of there that nobody seems to do anything about?
It's really quite extraordinary. Sal, I'm also very familiar, of course, with your case because the investigation into you in which the Officer Ornstein violated numerous laws. When he first went to your cell phone provider to request records and the cell phone provider wouldn't give it to him, he then returned and claimed that this was a narcotics case. It is not a narcotics case, not even a criminal case. It was an administrative trial. Secondarily, he accessed sealed NYPD documents regarding me. His attempt, which completely failed because it didn't match reality, was to somehow connect you and I to the Proud Boys of the Oath Keepers. Neither one of us was at the Capitol January 6th. Neither one of us have any knowledge in advance, participation in, nor did we condone any illegal act on January 6th. But they continue to make misrepresentations when, in fact, Joshua James, and this has been reported in the left-wing press, who was part of a security detail for me on the 5th and delivered a suitcase to my room, testified in your administrative trial that neither you nor I had any knowledge or involvement of any of the activities of the Oath Keepers. There it is, under oath. This was a witch hunt that was politically motivated. They went after you because you're a supporter of President Donald Trump and a friend of mine, and it is illegal. Certainly illegal to misrepresent search warrants. Certainly illegal to access sealed documents. This officer Ornstein also misrepresented to the Willard Hotel where we were staying, but where if there was a so-called war room there, I was never in it, and I knew nothing about it. He made misrepresentations to get the video, the security video camera footage, which showed that I went out at 8 o'clock at night and got a haircut. That's all it showed. So this is an abomination. It is outrageous that the city of New York has dragged their feet in this lawsuit. They have not lived up to their responsibilities in discovery, but they've tried twice to have it dismissed, and that has been denied. Just seems to me that if you're a Democrat, you can attack Donald Trump on social media during your working hours as a New York City police officer, and nothing will happen to you. But if you happen to be a friend of Roger Stone and his wife and his family, well, then you have to be fired. It is an egregious double standard, Sal, and I give you enormous credit because, well, you're not a quitter, and you have focused on the double standard. I mean, Eric Adams himself, as a New York City police captain, provided private security for not only Louis Farrakhan but also Mike Tyson, both convicted felons. So he was brought up on the same administrative charges you were. He went to an administrative trial. They docked his vacation pay 15 days. That's it. In your case, they terminated you. They took your pension, and they refused to write you a good conduct letter so you can get a job in law enforcement in another jurisdiction if you so chose. It is outrageous. You have a great new podcast. You have a great new website. Tell folks where they can go to see the Sal Greco.
Sure, you could go on Rumble or YouTube. That's where to see the Sal Greco show. My website is salgreco.com. I mean, I go into more details of this consofrito, and I don't know why the media will not call Tish James' office, Carl Hasty's office, Eric Adams. You need to find out what did they know and why were they over there, and what else? What are the details we're missing here? And Roger, I also think this Qatar junket with Eddie Caban, that's a big deal only because in the past, my friend Jimmy Grant, who was an inspector on the job, he lost his job even though he beat the case federally when Philip Banks was an unindicted co-conspirator. They went around the world in these trips, and they ended up indicting everybody. Why is Eddie Caban going to be treated different than anyone else? What is he doing in Qatar, Roger? Because you know something? Qatar is friends with Hamas. If I was Jewish and I lived in New York City, I'd have a lot of questions for Eddie Caban, why he's so chummy with this government, and we don't know anything about him talking to Israel at all or the Jewish community. I mean, what's he doing over there at Qatar, Roger? This is something else. This administration, Roger, it's something else, man.
All right, that's a fair question. Unfortunately, we have to leave you there. This is our good friend Sal Greco, a decorated New York City police officer who's put his life on the line for the people of New York City with an unblemished record of service to New York taxpayers. Thanks for joining us, Sal. I'm Roger Stone. This is The Roger Stone Show, and we'll be right back.